Better. Okay. I think I might have had my other one on. Okay. I think I no, I didn't have the right input on. All right. Thank you all so much. That was actually record time. Usually takes us about 10 minutes to figure out what's going on. So, I just wanted to show y'all what we're using. So, if you're here with us, you're and you want to follow along, you can follow along. What I'm going to be using to take notes myself is Anki. Sorry about that. Is Anki, and you can download Anki. This is like a virtual card system, and I have like a bunch of different decks. And here's my CPACC deck, and I'll be adding questions to it. So
Could
instead
you
of
spell Anki?
yes, it's ANKI, and I'll send you. I'll, we'll have to do an accessibility audit on it and see whether or not it's accessible. But I like it. I think it works pretty well. But instead of doing notes, what I do as I go throughout whatever I'm studying is I write the question. Like I write the question so that I can answer it instead of just like writing out notes over and over again and making my hands cramp up. So thank you, Honda Civic Chan. They put in Anki. That's what it's called. All right, so that's what I'm using personally. If you want to follow along that way, you can also use like physical cards. That works too. Or you can just use a notebook, whatever floats your boat. Um, and the other thing that I'm going to be using is our CPAC body of knowledge. So I'm going to put this both in the chat and in on the screen. So here goes our body of knowledge. And we'll throw that in the chat. There you go. So you can click on that if you want to open it up and follow along. Because all I've done really is made a PowerPoint that follows this and fills in a little bit of extra information. And I put some, y'all know me, I love me a good meme or GIF or reaction picture. So I put some reaction pictures in there. Um, if you are confused about what's happening right now, you probably have to go back to week zero's video and just listen to that, and you'll know what we're up to. So I'm not really going to repeat it. I'm probably going to jump in a little bit and let Dorlin introduce herself for those who don't know her, and then we'll get into it. But yeah, I think all we need today is these two things because we're not going to be doing any coding. We're just learning some foundations. All right, so today I do have Dorlin with me. Dorlin works with me as a accessibility auditor as well, and we're basically work besties and regular friends now. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are and why you're hanging out.
All right, cool. Hello, everyone. I'm Dorlin, and like Africa said, I'm working with her in accessibility auditing right now. I got into it a few years ago and actually had planned on taking the CPAC course myself a few years ago and then didn't follow through with it. And so I'm really excited to have this opportunity to be study buddies with Africa and all of you guys. I am blind and I've been blind for about a decade now. And so I'm a native assistive technology user. I use JAWS pretty much all day, every day. I use VoiceOver on my iPhone. Just getting into this study group and doing all the things to get, um, to participate with it has been quite a test of accessibility of all these different things. So that's been fun. And I'm just excited to learn and love accessibility and especially the stuff we're about to study with just like about disabilities, about assistive technology, the whys and the laws and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I also hope to help out in any way if anyone does have questions about, assistive technology, or if there's anyone out there who's a screen reader user who's also going along this journey. I'm totally there for you. And that's what I got. So back to you, Africa.
Awesome. So we will be having other people who are blind will be watching this, and Dorland's here with us as well. So you may notice that I will be probably a little bit more verbose on explaining what's on my screen. The good thing about this study group is it's really casual. We're going to pause a lot to answer questions if anyone has questions. That's what the chat is for. So the more questions we ask and the more people share what they hear and what they see, the better I think that our experience will be. So we'll probably take some time throughout this to have little discussions about what we're looking at, and really get into the material itself, because the body of knowledge, it kind of just gives you rotely like, hey, this is what you should know. And here's like a little blurb about it. So any questions you have, no matter what they are, please go ahead and ask, even if they have nothing to do with what we're doing. That's fine too. All right, y'all ready? Oh, I don't want it to do this. Swap displays, no. All right, I see a bunch of readies, awesome. All right, so I am trying to do this, but I think I'm just gonna have to do this a little bit in a bootleg way, but that's fine. Okie dokie. All right, if you're here for the Certified Professionals in Accessibility Core Competencies CPACC crash course. I don't think we should call it a crash course. This is a study group, obviously, but this is going to be crash course style, as I like to do. All right, here's what we will be learning. We're going to be learning the theoretical models of disability. We're going to learn about the types of disabilities and the personas. We're going to learn a little bit about assistive technology and adaptive strategies, accessibility, and universal design standards and laws. So this is a lot. We're going to learn it over the next couple weeks. Today, we're going to focus on theoretical models of disability and then the kinds of disabilities and personas. If we have time and I have energy to keep going, we'll probably start on assistive technology and adaptive strategies, but we'll get to accessibility and universal design and the rest probably next week. All right, most of y'all already know me. I'm here, I'm an occupational therapist. I've been working with individuals with injuries and disorders, and I'm also a community taught web developer. And right now I'm working as an accessibility engineer with Dorland, and as a 508 auditor. All right. So let's get into disability models. And I have to figure out how to not have this extend over both of my screens so I can actually see the chat. Let's see if I can do that. I might have to like not make it an actual cute presentation the way that I want to, unfortunately. All right, sounds like what I'm gonna have to do. The other thing I'm gonna do, since I'm doing this, is I'm gonna put my Anki up right next to it so that I can easily get to making cards. All right, I just wanna make sure that this is big enough for everyone. Can you all see this pretty well? I'm gonna have to make us smaller. I think I'm gonna make us smaller, Dorland, and make my screen a little bit bigger. All right, thanks. Everyone's saying it's all good. Appreciate y'all. All right. So there are a bunch of different models when it comes to thinking about disability. I think the good thing about all of this is it's kind of, once you hear it, it makes sense, but you just don't think about it day to day. So we have the medical model. The medical model is what I'm the most familiar with. The social model, the biosocial model, the biopsychosocial model, I should say. We have the economic model, functional solutions model, social identity or cultural affiliation model, and we have the charity model. Is anyone familiar with any of these models, by the way? Have you heard of any of these, Dorlin?
Well, I have, but like I said, I had studied for this exam before, and I actually took the study class that Deck University had done, and they went through them pretty well. So I've read through all of them, but I'm looking forward to a refresher on them. Um, I,
Yeah,
I
so
know when I hear
kiddo,
medical model, I cringe a bit.
I know. Oh my gosh. I will talk about the medical model a little bit once we get there, which is next. But Kiddo said yes because I just read about them. CJ Dream said yes from the body of knowledge. Kathy Code said a few from reading the body of knowledge, otherwise not before that. And Aleve Herrera said medical. All right. Because I think Aleve Herrera might be coming from therapy. All right, we're going to go to the next one. So let's get into the medical model. So the medical model is what I spent the last 10 years kind of PT up. Um, the medical model is what I've been doing for the past 10 years. I had to unlearn a lot of things about the medical model. So the medical model looks at disability kind of as a problem of the person that needs to be cured. So you're thinking about a person who has a problem that's directly caused by disease, some type of trauma, or some health condition. So the whole point of it is to cure this or to adjust a person's behavior or environment so that they can live a higher quality of life. It mostly looks at the body, right, as a source of disability. And the clinician is a person who works on the body to condition the body to come back to its wholeness, right? They see it as a wholeness that needs to be repaired. It treats disability as a problem of the individual, and it also uses a lot of words and normalizes a lot of like words that make us cringe now, like special needs and things like that. So I think the medical model came from just like a need, meeting a need, and it's pretty old school. And it kind of defines the person based off of like physically what they can and can't do and like thinking of it as a cure. So what do y'all think about the medical model? I think it has its place. I truly do. But its place is usually like for acute injuries, right? So like you have an acute injury, we're going to rehab you and see your body as the problem that needs to be kind of cured in a way. But when you start looking at it globally in other areas, it becomes problematic. Right, like you're in a wheelchair, we got to cure you. It's like, no, well, right. What do you think, Dorlin?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, just having lost my sight, I kind of got to see part of this model as like, okay, your eye's the problem now, we have to rehab you and um, kind of fix like I had to learn the skills. It's on me as the person. It's my problem, the disability for sure.
Right, right.
Um, I don't know. I feel like yeah. Um,
All right, we're gonna move on
Sorry,
to
I've
the
got this
social.
I've got the body of knowledge under here and I'm trying to read through it at the same time. A little
Oh,
bit, go
don't
through
do
it.
that. Just listen
Go
to
ahead.
my lovely voice, okay? Multitasking for real, for real.
Oh, I am.
Aleve, I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but I'll say Herrera said, yeah, it has its place initially, but doesn't really help so much in the long term. Yeah, very true. All right, let's talk about the social model. Social model. I like the social model. I'm with it. So the social model
Mhm.
sees disability as a socially created problem. So the disability is not attributed to just the person, it's also a societal issue, right? So we're all here together, all trying to figure out how to make it work together. It's all about equal access as a human right, as major concern, and the onus of making that happen is on the all of us, not just one person. Um, it makes clear that barriers and challenges of disabled people are not a characteristic of the individual, and the world should be designed to accommodate a wide range of human characteristics and abilities. It tends to downplay aspects of disability that have to do with bodily characteristics and can be antagonizing. So I think when it says that, it's talking mostly about like the social justice-ness of it can be off-putting to some people because you're demanding rights. But I feel like sometimes you just have to be off-putting. I don't know. That's just me though. So basically, it's looking at environmental barriers and putting it on all of us to create solutions to these barriers. So, I don't have a lot against this one. I think it works pretty well. Um, and Plants and Pajamas said universal design
Mhm.
for the win.
Great.
Yep. So social model also has to do with universal design, right? In that it's what it eventually wants
I always think of
to
curb
happen.
cuts when I think of this one.
You think of what?
Sorry, I think of curb cuts with the social model. So, when you're going from the street onto a sidewalk, that slant, that angles up onto the sidewalk, that's called the curb cut there. For anyone who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know, and like originally they weren't there, and they were put in for people with wheelchairs. Like people really had to advocate for them, but now it helps all of society. You've got people with, uh, hand trucks making deliveries. You got people with strollers pushing babies, people with luggage going to the airport. Everyone's using these curb cuts. If you design for the edges and include everyone, it really includes everyone. I love the social model
Yeah. So the
and curb cuts.
curb cuts. I like curb cuts too. The psycho I cannot say this word.
Everybody does.
Biopsychosocial model.
Bye.
This one is a really good one because I think it takes all the good pieces of all these other ones and puts them together in a pretty complete way. So it kind of looks at the biological piece, our physical health, the disability of itself, and then it looks at the social, which is like our family, school, peers, our relationships. It also looks at the psychological, which is like our coping skills, our social skills, our self esteem, and then it kind of meets in the middle for like mental health. So it's really looking at the mind and also the community around the mind, and then how the body is affected by all of that. So this was created by the World Health Organization, and it's published in the International Classifications of Functioning. It kind of synthesizes all of these things, like I just said, instead of reducing it to one thing. Um, so Andy Stitt said, as a Jewish person with intergenerational trauma from the Holocaust that has caused me to have disabilities, the biosocial model makes a lot of sense for me personally. Yeah, I think this one is definitely the most robust for sure. All right, we're gonna move on to the economic model. And like, just so y'all know, this was a GIF. I'm so sad that you can't like see like my stuff, but oh well. All right, let's go on to the economic model. And let me pull up one more thing so I can see properly and respond to y'all. All right, there we go. All right, so the economic model, this really just looks at your ability to make money. How does your disability affect that? It looks at basically your ability to be productive, how much loss in earning you'll make based off of it. It's good in that it does specifically look at the body's limitation and a person's ability to work, but it kind of does create like a legally defined category, and it also stigmatizes disability. So this one is one of those very like narrow ones where it's like, right? All right, so the functional solutions model is actually what we as occupational therapists do all day, every day. We look at functional solutions. So how to best help someone pragmatically in a way that they can like actually do realistically. So it's looking at a practical perspective that identifies limitations or functional impairments. So things like, can you put on your shoes? Can you cook? Can you put on your shirt? Can you shower by yourself? So things that are impaired due to your disability. And then we kind of create and promote those solutions to overcome the limitations. So the primary task for this one is to kind of eliminate the impact of the functional limitation through specific intervention. So strategically and step by step, showing a person how to do something or giving them exercises or modifying their environment in a way that allows them to be more independent. So the good thing about this one is it's results oriented. So we have goals, they're measurable. You can look at them and know whether or not it's working or it's not working. It's methodological. And the solutions are practical and real world solutions that you can absolutely reproduce. However, you can miss the mark because the person giving you this is still a person, right? So the person could be profit driven and not giving you the right information, or prolonging your therapy or your solutions for their financial gain, which is, it's a little disheartening to think about, but it is a real enough problem to be said. And I'm sorry, my cat's about to knock over my plant. I'm sorry, y'all. My cats are like children. Like, if I'm not paying attention to them, they'll knock things over on purpose, I think, just to like get my attention. All right. And I really, really like that plant. Sorry about that. Welcome to Streams with Africa. All right. Anyways, the last thing about it is that it can be innovative, but it might not be useful or practical. So usually we want to kind of keep it practical, right? That's the whole point of it. But a lot of times people can be a little bit ambitious in what they're telling people to do, and it ends up being a problem or something that they can't reproduce, essentially. Sinotech said, my cats are currently hovering, looking for food and causing trouble in the interim. Yeah, man. Darn cats. Ugh. All right. Let me catch up with not y'all laughing at me. All right. All right, let's move on to the next one. Next, we have the social identity or cultural affiliation model. So Dorlin, on here, I found this really interesting GIF. It's this woman, she's standing and she's looking in the mirror, and there's 4 mirrors that she's looking at. Like, there's 4 versions of herself. In one, it says, how my parents see me, and she looks all cute with a like angel halo. The other one says, how my book club sees me, and she's like smiling with glasses. One says, how my boss sees me, and then she's like all sad looking and mad. That's probably how my boss sees me, I don't know. How my online friends see me, and it's like her with devil horns yelling. So this is the social identity or cultural affiliation model. So this one's interesting. because it resonates. I think it does resonate. It will resonate with a lot of people because this is a lot of times what online communities can become for the disabled community. So this accepts that the person's disability is completely a point of pride. A sense of belonging in one group can be counterbalanced by the feeling of exclusion by people who don't fit into the group's expectations. So that's like one of the unfortunate things that may happen. There's also a sense of deriving one's personal identity from membership within a group of like-minded individuals. And you can mostly see this among people who are deaf who share the same linguistic experience. So a good way, I guess, to think about this one is the deaf community, right? The deaf community is a big community. They're their own, almost their own little community in that they have this shared experience of language and lifestyle, and then very different factions. So I think while you may get a sense of belonging, sometimes these groups can be very opinionated, right? In that you can be excluded if you don't believe specific things that they believe. That can be one of the things that happens. But I think it's interesting to think about because you do think about like blind communities, ADHD communities, anxiety community, like people who really get together and they're a part of this community based on this shared disability. What do you have anything to say about that, Dorlin?
Blind pride. I mean, I am proud to be blind, and I love it when I'm around others who are. But I definitely have seen this within the community, where like, because there's so many varying levels of blindness and visual impairment, where there's people who like aren't blind enough for the blind or something. And it's just, I can see how it can end up being exclusionary and that way. I don't know. I definitely, I feel this one for sure.
I think one of the examples that I was thinking about for example for the deaf community would be like sign language versus not sign language and things like that. You know what I mean? It's interesting. Is there like any braille versus non-braille beef?
There's Braille versus Braille beef. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, there's so much Braille drama. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely,
Braille drama? I kind of like what braille drama?
oh my gosh, there's so much Braille drama. You want some, I'll give you some later. But there definitely is like, well, with all the technology we have now, there's people who are discouraged from learning Braille. Oh, you can listen to that now, all this, and then there's people like me who are just like steadfast advocates who cannot stand it when someone poo poos on our Braille. Um, so I don't know. Uh, and then within Braille, it's like, which code are you going with? But anyway, there's just we're all individuals. One thing I love is like when you've met one blind person, you've met one blind person. And it goes
Yep.
with everyone in this world, we're all individuals. You can't just put everyone together because they share a disability, Like I have a lot of blind friends who literally that's the only thing we have in common. And I don't know that we would be friends otherwise, but we are. But I don't know where I'm going with that. But, I think it's very nuanced. And this one can that's where I think its shortcoming comes in.
No, that all makes sense. I think the way that I worded this was also very strongly worded. It's not that you would literally be excluded from entire, blind or deaf community or whatever community. It's more like, because it's based off of identity specifically, there are going to be varying opinions that may exclude you if you don't have that varying way of disability or thinking of it, I guess. But it is interesting. Maybe we'll do another stream and Dorlin will tell us all about this Braille drama. We're going to spend just 10 minutes on the next stream. Like, we need to know.
All right. I will give you a small snippet in 10 minutes of all the Braille drama out there.
Crying. All right. So I'm going to read some of these comments really fast. Nami Kuro said, exclusionary for not being blind enough would be not learning how to read Braille. I don't think that that's like a whole thing that's actually a thing, but I know that people feel strongly about Braille, as Dorland said. CJ Dream said, I want to hear about the Braille drama. LOL, same. Faunus asked, is the sign language universally the same or is it different in India and US like spoken languages? My understanding is it's called American Sign Language, but I don't know the actual answer. I've actually never thought about that, which is wild. But I'm assuming that it's in America,
Sure.
like it's in American, right? Because it's called American Sign Language. But maybe someone answered
Yeah, there
this.
are other versions of sign language. I'm not an expert, so I don't want to like get myself in trouble, but American Sign Language, ASL, is not the only.
Okay, cool. So it's probably the most widely known because English can be considered a pretty global language. But then there's probably people who have their own signs for other things based around the world where they are, just like with language. That's interesting, actually. Saif Ahmed said, is it true only 10% of blind individuals know Braille?
I don't know what the percentage is, but it's definitely lower than I would like it to be. I think it's definitely probably, actually, I don't know. I have heard that like for some reason I have like a 30% figure in my head, but like who would know? But it's definitely not as prevalent as it should be.
Right, yeah. I know that it's a
Hmm.
pretty low number.
Uh,
Kiddo said, spill the tea, Dorlin. Guess we're about to see. Nami Kuro said, sign language differs depending on the country. American Sign Language is different from Japanese Sign Language, for example. That's really interesting. Kathy Code said, there's even a difference between American Sign Language and British Sign Language. What? That's gonna break my brain. I don't even want to think
Makes
about that too
sense.
hard. Nami Kuro said, and then there are dialects of sign language. For example, the Black community has a specific way of signing some words. Oh my gosh, Dorlin, they're on TikTok. There's like the blind community. They're on TikTok, do like showing signs and stuff. But like the Black TikTokers who do it, they do like extra like fancy hand waves. They look so cool. They have like some people have these like long nails, and like it just makes me want to learn it more because I'm like they just look so cool. They do it. Um,
You
uh,
should. Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, it's really
I want to
cool.
learn to hand sign because you can sign. So someone who is deaf blind, they can't see you signing. So you sign into their hands and you can feel it and back and forth. Or
Right.
if you're blind like myself and trying to communicate with someone who's deaf, you'd have to use that version.
A lot of people ask me how, and we're going to talk about this today, y'all. That's actually on one of the slides we're going to dedicate to deaf blind. They're so curious, how do they communicate? And it's like, yeah, you do the signing on the hands, and that's so interesting. We'll talk about it.
Oh, in other
Um,
ways, yeah.
Plants in Pajamas said, my understanding is that American Sign Language is derived from French Sign Language, so it shares some commonalities with it, but British Sign Language has its own origins, so they aren't mutually intelligible. Wow. Control Alt Tree said, yes, Nami and Kathy are correct. We learned about it in speech therapy classes. Oh, that's really cool. Kiddo said, I love ASL TikTok. Oh, yes, ASL TikTok is just like, yo, I'm like, I'm motivated to learn just so I can just be like doing it. Kiddo said, I have seen a blind deaf person hand signing. I was amazed. Yeah, that's really cool. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about the charity model, aka the worst model ever. It sees people with disabilities as unfortunate and in need of assistance from the outside. They see the people providing therapy as benevolent contributors. One good thing about it is it can inspire people to contribute to charities, but like lame. But it's mostly just that it's condescending. It's never the right way to do it. Charities are great though, but if you're going to be a charity, you need to be in the trenches on the picket lines, all that. Um, that's a good way to be charitable, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you think?
Uh, I think this charity model gets me a lot of compliments throughout my life now. Oh, you're so inspiring, because I like walked outside that day,
Yuck.
that kind of stuff. Or the attitude out there where they'll turn to my companion to ask a question of them that's actually for me. Like when you and I went to IT that one day, they kept turning to Africa to
Oh
ask
my
the questions
God,
they need to be
y'all.
asking me, and so Africa would keep turning back like, But it happens. It's not just it's everywhere. It's this model. It's out there. It's
Yeah, my
entrenched.
favorite thing that happens to Dorlin that she told me about is that when people hear that, like, figure out that she's blind, they talk to her even louder.
It
I'm
happens all the
sorry.
time.
That is hilarious.
I've also had people see me out with my white cane and my dark glasses on, riding the bus, clearly blind, and talk about me as if I can't hear them at all, just like assuming I'm deaf
Oh
blind or
gosh.
just people mix their disabilities all the time, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. Hopefully we're here to learn about how not to do that. Okay,
Right, this is the group that's going to help the world be a better place.
perhaps. Okay, so this is the time we're gonna take a pause to take Anki out and write this down. Uh, so what I'm gonna do is get my Anki out. I know you don't have this up, Dorlin, so I'm gonna say this out loud as I do it. So first, I'm just gonna put what is the medical model, and someone please. CJ Dream said Demystifying Disabilities is a great book for that. Oh, cool.
Yes, it
Thanks for the
is. I've read
recommendation.
that one. Good.
All right, y'all, what is the medical model? I'm not just asking for myself. We're going to do this together. It's called space repetition. I'll let someone answer in the comments. Let's see if anyone remembers. What is the medical model? So Kathy said it sees disability as something to be treated. I'm going to add or cured. Sees the. All right, your turn, Dorlin.
Well, sorry, I can't see what you've already typed. Can you read me back what you already typed?
I put sees disability as something to be treated or cured. Should I? I feel like I should start turning my jaws on. Well, I don't have jaws on here. I have voiceover, but I don't know how distracting that would be. Something to
Yeah,
think about. I think
you
next time
know,
I'll do that just so everyone can see what a screen reader would be like, anyways.
hmm, well, I like straight from the text, it says the medical model is presented as viewing disability as a problem of the person directly caused by disease, trauma, or other health condition.
All right, y'all. I don't know how to spell or type, so sorry if you see any typos, including
Do
in
you
the
need me to review your Anki slides?
Listen, no, because these are my personal slides and I can read my awful whatever this is. All right, I'm going to add this.
But I like being your editor, Africa.
You've got enough to edit, okay? Social model. What is the social model? Someone please answer for me. What is the social model? If we're taking the CPAC right now. I gotta plug my computer in.
Waiting on
I
them, or are
do.
you waiting
I'm
on me?
doing the charger now, y'all. Oh my goodness, is like my laptop battery low. Do I have my charger nearby? Thanks for caring, y'all.
Oh my gosh, they caught that your battery's low? That's so nice.
I know. I feel like every stream I'm like, I have to dive under the table and like do that. All right, so Andy's tit said we design social spaces that are inaccessible to people. Programming's Angel said sees disability as influenced from the environment. So no. So the social model, if we go back, the social model sees disability as a social problem created as a social society has created this problem. A is probably seeing it as a problem to begin with and then creating barriers, right? Happy Joy Joy said social models put the ball in society's court. Accessibility isn't an individual problem, rather it's caused by society. We need to address things that are accessible for all, not just the majority. What? I'm gonna copy and paste that. Thank you. That was
That's what's up.
perfect. Love it. You have typos. My whole brain is a typo. It's okay. You know, whenever I see typos now, I don't even see them. Like my brain just automatically turns it into something that makes sense. Bam. I like it. Okay, y'all. What is the biosocial model, psychosocial model? Damn, not the caps yelling at me though. All right, what is the biopsychosocial model? I remember that it has three pieces. Let's see if anyone can remember the three pieces. Do you remember, Dorlin?
Let's see. Well, it was biological, social, and economic, I think. Where to go? So,
You can't cheat.
but I can't cheat. That's how studying works. You go back and you cheat and you look at the notes and you make them good so that when you're going through, you got what you need to study from. You're
Okay,
going to thank me for
fine.
this later. All right. So it integrates the social and medical models. So it's one that synthesizes what is true in the medical and the social models without making the mistakes each makes. So let's see. Let me see if I can find something to sum it up.
All right, I got some answers here.
There we
Oops, where
go.
do I have this pinned? How do I undo this? Okay. Unpin this message, please. Okay. So, programming Angel said biology, psychology, sociology. Sounds about right.
There were
Cinotech
the
said
through three.
it analyzes disability in its complexity. It assigns a problem to the society and the person's medical status. Thanks. I'm definitely going to steal yours, Sino. Appreciate you. And then Annie's Tit said, it's a model that attributes disability to the biological, psychological, and social factors. Absolutely. Great. All right. What's the economic model?
Uh, it's defined by a person's inability to work, inability to participate in work.
Absolutely.
It assesses an individual's productivity. see. So the individual's productivity and the economic consequences to the state, to them, to the employer. That might be a little more than you need for your Anki card.
Nah, I stack my Anki cards up as far as they can go if I can. Sinotech said it assesses the person's ability to contribute to the economy. Yes. All
Oh,
right. If
that's
you're
very
here,
simple.
I encourage you, if you're not putting it in the chat, and you're shy, I feel it, but I encourage you to answer the question in your head, see if you can answer it. All right, so the next one's for y'all. What is the functional solutions model? Programming Angel asks, will you be posting the Anki cards in Discord? No. You guys need to make your own Anki cards because that's
This
part
is
of
true.
studying.
That's the biggest part. I feel like I'm gonna make me some Braille study cards after this, but part of like the study is literally making the card. It's that typing of it, the doing of it. That's how you remember it. So,
Yeah, I am actually very much down to give you all my Anki cards. It's not that I don't want to, it's that I actually want you to do it if you're serious about the CPAC. And if you're not, then you don't really need these cards. You can just watch this and make your own cards if you want. But if for some reason you're finding it hard to make cards and you do need cards, I will absolutely give you my cards, okay? I'm just not going to put it in the Discord globally. But like, definitely, I'm happy to give you the cards if you really want them. I'm kind of spicy. I don't really mean it. I'll give you the cards. It's okay. Kathy Codes said it sees what people with disabilities can do. And I lost it. Sees what people with disabilities can do and gives them the tools to alter their environment to help. Absolutely. That is what I'm going to copy and paste. Thank you, Kathy. Fauna said functional. Sorry, my chat kind of sucks over here. So I have to like manually scroll. Fauna said functional solutions model is action oriented. Yes, I love that word. Action oriented. Sinotech said it is a results-oriented strategy to disability. It can be measured because it yields results and addresses the problem with the solution, but can be held back by entrepreneurs or overly creative solutions that aren't practical. Gotta definitely copy and paste that one. Appreciate you. Programming Angel said that's understandable. But for real, if you want my Anki cards, yeah, just hit me up on Discord. I'll send them to you. But if you want them, I think you also need to have Anki itself. So make sure you have that. And if you have that, make your own cards. It's going to be great. All right, I'm adding these. Social identity or cultural affiliation model. What is the social identity or, and I'm not fixing my typos. Sorry. Okay. This one's for y'all. Oh, I might have missed some questions actually. Double check. Okay. Dr. Tony's Fast asks, are these essays or multiple choice in the CPAC? I think someone already answered, but for those who cannot see the chat, it is multiple choice. So that's why when I say, do the cards, if you can answer it, then you're going to get the question right. Because this is like black and white at this point. So the flashcards are going to be super helpful. All right, let me just make sure I got all of your questions. And oh my goodness said, yes, it's a multiple choice according to the website. Programming Angel said, when the individual embraces their disability as a part of who they are. For the social identity, yeah, so they embrace it for who they are and also Sinotech said it's a model of disability where people develop their identity around their disability and form communities of people similar to disabilities, but it can be alienating because of different beliefs. Dang, Sino is over here like really synthesizing this information. Thank you.
Right.
All right. Charity model. What's a charity model, y'all?
Oh, those poor disabled folks.
That's what I'm just gonna write. All those poor disabled folks. And I'll know exactly what I meant. Andy Stitt said, a charity model is a model that sucks. Period. The end. Moving on. All right, we did it. Okay, so here's
Yay.
where we take a break. We're gonna take a 2-3 minute break to like get up physically, please, and not look at the computer, and give yourself a little stretch, whatever you want to do. Sinotech said the charity model is a disability model that places solving disability through people's donations. Actually, that's brilliant. Man, you have a way with like explaining it in one sentence that I really like. Thank you, Sino. But yes,
Well,
please
and that
take.
assist. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I'm about to give us a break.
Okay, I was just gonna say to add to what he said there, like add that they need assistance from outside. It's like I
Right.
think that would,
Or else.
yeah, it's like they can't do it themselves.
Alrighty, my friends, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw on my little starting thing with the music, and I'm gonna take some time to stretch and move, and I'll be back in about 3 minutes. All right? All right, I got the camera back up just so you know, Darlin. You see your nice bright
Okay.
nails and your beautiful mug. Wow.
Oh.
Is that a Wonder Woman?
It is Wonder Woman
All right, I'm
from
gonna
the
take.
Smithsonian.
All right, I'm gonna give everyone about 30 more seconds, just in case I'm missing some people. Took a longer break. Me and Dorlin actually just got off and came straight to the stream, so I'm like, man, I was trying to like gulp down some food. Haven't even decompressed from the day yet.
That break was perfect, though. I got to run and grab my Braille display so I can show people how,
Oh
if we get
yes,
to that part.
that's so
And if
cool.
not, I'll be here
Yes.
for next time. Yeah.
No, we're gonna get to that part. I'm pretty sure. Let me pull up our slides. All right, blind. The blind is first, so we're gonna get to it right now, actually.
Whoop, whoop.
So let's go to share. It looks like we're good here. All right, I just want to confirm that everyone can hear, see me, and sees what's on my screen. If you've made it this far, thank you for sticking it out with me here. I know it's a slugger. All right, Kathy Code said, yep. Thanks, Kathy. All right, so for the next about 1 hour, because that's probably all I have in me, we're going to be learning about the types of disabilities and their personas, meaning what it looks like to have that disability, what they use in the accommodations and things like that. So basically things to consider. All right, so we're going to talk about the blind, low vision, colorblind, deafblind, motor disabilities, speech disabilities, cognitive disabilities, reading disabilities, and seizures. All right, so I'm going to kind of just read the slides and let Dorlin kind of talk at length about this area. But when we're talking about the blind, we're talking about complete loss of vision. 2.2 billion people have a vision impairment of blindness, and the leading cause is uncorrected refractive errors and cataracts. The majority of people who are blind are over the age of 50. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about blind. So there's also low vision. So low vision is uncorrectable vision loss, and it interferes with daily living and cannot be corrected by regular glasses or meds. So you may wear glasses to help. Sinotech said 1 in 4 people are blind. Did I write that accidentally somewhere?
1 in 4 people have a disability.
Right. Yeah.
About 2% of the population is blind, I believe.
Right. Right. Oh,
Because there's
just
a
wondering
2% running club. Because they're
what?
trying to get them all running.
Yeah, so 2.2 billion is 1/4 of the world, so I might have my numbers wrong. I'm like, where did I
I
get that
think
number?
that is probably, I think that's
Let me look it up.
has a disability, not a visual impairment.
It might be like that. That's like the general number of disabilities. Sorry, y'all. That's why I'm not a
Exactly.
teacher, okay? We're all learning here together. All right, I'm
Exactly.
gonna look up
Study
how
buddy.
many people do that right now. I have to know.
You know what I found where you got that
43
fact? It's in
million.
you've got that fact straight from the text though. It says, um, by the World Health Organization fact sheet on vision vision impairment and blindness. Globally, at least 2.2 billion people have a vision impairment or blindness, of whom at least 1 billion have a vision impairment that could have been prevented or has yet to be addressed. So you
Hmm.
did get that number straight from their body of knowledge, but
Right,
that is
right. But this
that
is for,
2.2 billion have some kind of a visual impairment, is what it says here.
well, according to Google's AI, it's
Okay,
1.1 billion people have some form of vision loss. So who's right? We can't trust AI. So I'm going to trust
that's
AIP and put
well. This is
this one says, I think I added a 2 in front of this cuz this says, oh no, this is blindness and this is over, so 3.5% of the world's population is actually um has low vision.
see that because, like, I mean, if that does include people, even if you can correct it, you know.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to read some of
But
these
that
comments.
2.2 billion number is straight from their body of knowledge,
We're going to have to figure out what the real answer is. Not from Google. Who would
ever
know?
changing.
The World Health Okay, the World Health Organization said 2.2 billion. So that's who I'm going to listen to.
Hmm.
That's why you can't trust AI. They're off by like 50%. What? All right. So this is one of the questions actually that I ask a lot whenever I do my talks about intro to accessibility. And I find it super interesting because one of the first questions that I ask, and this is an intrusive question, right? I usually say, "This is a safe space. I'm just curious, how many of you all have a disability?" And usually no one raises their hand because I wouldn't raise my hand, honestly. But for the most part, I think most people don't raise their hand because they truly believe they don't have one. And then I ask, how many of you all wear glasses? And then usually like half or contact lenses, right? And half of them raise their hand. And I'm like, yeah, you have a disability. And I think that's interesting and important because people think of disability as this really alien thing. But let's talk about color blindness, and then we're gonna get into some of the assistive technology and things like that. I think this one, yeah, we just making sure that I did this in a certain way. Yes. All right. So color blindness is a sensory disability that impairs the ability to see color. It's the most common one is the red and green color blindness. 1 in 12 males have it, and 1 in 200 females have it. I've had a lot of patients who were colorblind, and a lot of times we just didn't realize until they would get confused about certain colors. So we'd be like, pick up the green, whatever, and they'd have trouble. And then the parent would tell us like a month later, oh yeah, he can't see the color green, and we're like, yo, mystery solved. So interesting. Let's see. I'm gonna get through some of these comments, and then I'm gonna go to the next slide, which is a little bit interesting. RoboDom said, "Hope everyone is doing well." What's up, RoboDom? C-Day Dreams telling us about 2.2 billion. Appreciate it. Someone put in here a little link. I'm guessing this is a stat. Cinotech, I said, I forgot that in the US, Google has AI. Does it? Oh, and then they said that it's not a thing here in Canada. Well, it doesn't even matter, Sino. You know why? Because it's not even that accurate. uh, let's see. Kathy Coates asks, do we need to remember stats for the CPAC? Probably. is the answer to that. I am really obsessive and go down really, really deep Reddit rabbit holes and Google holes and literally scoured the entire internet for everything on the CPAC from people who've taken it. And all of them said that the reason that they did or didn't do well was based off of how many random facts they remembered, because it gets pretty detailed in what it asks. A good thing to look at would be, and I put it in the Discord. So if you're here with us and you're not on the Discord, please reach out to me because you need to be on the Discord. Actually, I'm going to throw the link for Discord in the chat right now, just in case there's anyone in here who needs it, because that's where a lot of our materials are, and also where I put announcements and things. So you can find everything super easy. All right, how do I invite people? I'm going to give you my little link, put it in the chat. All right, that's the link for the Discord. I forgot what I was going to say. Damn. Oh, for the CPAC. Yes. CPAC, let me show you what you're going to need. So we were actually just talking about this, Dorlin. So this, where I am right now, I'm in the Discord. I'm under study materials. And I put today, because Dorlin was looking for it, and I was like, I should put this here. The CPAC body of knowledge, you can find it, CPAC outline. If you click on that, this is imperative in a way because it tells you like what it's actually going to be asking you. So 40% will just be on characterizing different theoretical models and looking at the ICT and understanding the characteristics of disability. So they will more than likely ask anything that's on there is game in the body of knowledge, which is why we're going to go back and ask ourselves some of these questions so that we can remember to just like visually remember them in a way. All right. Make sure, got any more questions? Robo Dom said, I'm pretty sure I need glasses. Same. I know one of my eyes is not as sharp as the other one. Oh man, yeah, go get those glasses because you're just gonna keep straining and they're gonna get worse. Programming Angel said 1 in 12 men are colorblind. Wow, yeah. You probably know someone who's colorblind and they just never bring it up.
Or they don't even
Cinotech
know it
said,
themselves.
what'd you say?
Or they don't even know it themselves. I've heard
Yes,
of
that's what
adults,
I
you know.
find so interesting about it. Like people
Yeah.
don't know that they're colorblind because they just have never seen the color. So you know what I mean? It's just interesting. It's interesting. Cinotech said, so Anki is an important one for this. Yes, Anki is important for the CPAC specifically if you're trying to take the CPAC, or if you're just trying to learn about accessibility so that you can talk with authority and things like that. Cinotech asks, are there mock exams for this? I'm pretty sure that there are not. I could be wrong, but I'm almost sure that there aren't, based off of what I read. I'm going to double check that for y'all. Todd Libby rated us. Hey, Todd Libby. Kathy Code said, thanks. What's up, Todd? All right, so let's move on. We're going to move on to vision. Nope, let me make sure I'm in the right place. All right, we did that already. So we're doing vision disability barriers. Okay, so some of the barriers would be, Dorlin, tell us some of your barriers.
Some of my barriers. Oh my gosh. So many barriers. Just in terms of everything, or what? Sorry, do you want me to just talk digital? I don't even know.
For the sake of this one, let's talk digital.
For the sake of this one, well, I guess, when things are not coded correctly, it'll lock me out. I want to give you guys a little example getting, and not to go on them because we've reached out and they've been very nice, but I ran into a problem getting signed up with Discord to be able to, join a community and study. There was a date picker that wasn't working, and then I ran into a problem with an H captcha, which apparently is a H captcha whatever it is,
Age
but
capture problem.
yeah, it just kept me from getting signed up without having to get sighted help, which really irks me. I think it irks a lot of people when you can't do something independently, disability or not. So I think everyone can understand a frustration like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Kathy Code said, date pickers, I've heard it's a big problem. It does
oh
seem to
my
be a big problem that
goodness.
we've come across for some reason. They can't figure out how to do them correctly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The other thing that Dorlin actually ran into that we are freaked out about, it's a little spooky, is, and it's funny that Todd just got here because Todd tweeted about this and I told Dorlin about it. So, uh, but what it does is when Dorlin is on her phone using VoiceOver, which is a screen reader, it detects that she's using a screen reader and then it asks her if she wants to send her information to them so that they can learn how to use screen readers better or whatever. We don't know how they're using the data because the link to click on to show the data doesn't work for her with her assistive technology. So she can't even figure out how they're going to use her data for her to be like, yeah, please use my data. However, we're not going to pick on Discord that much because I tweeted that we were thinking about roasting them, but that genuinely we did have a problem. And someone did reach out to me and gave me an extremely long, detailed, amazing answer on how they're looking into it and what may be going wrong. So we're going to keep in close contact with Discord, hopefully, and their accessibility team and try to make it more accessible for all of us. Todd Libby said, date pickers are notoriously inaccessible if they are not handled properly. Maybe that'll be something we actually talk about once we start coding how to create an accessible date picker. That could be something really interesting. Todd Libby also said, yes, I called Discord out on that yesterday. Yeah. So I think Todd was basically just
Yay.
saying, hey, make sure you have an accessibility team doing this testing and you're not just relying on other people to give you the information on that and pay them, which is absolutely fair. But it sounds like Discord has a disability team and that they're working with really old code and that, they have to kind of figure that out themselves. So we'll see what they do. We will be holding their feet to the fire and holding to them because we want to use this technology. I'm going to read a little bit more of these comments and then we're going to start talking a little bit more about this. Safe Ahmed asks, what's y'all's experience with the CPACC for those who took it? I think there's a few people who may have taken it already in here, but I'm not sure. Todd Libby also put the link for the CPACC sample questions. What I'm going to actually do is grab this link and put it in our study materials. Thank you so much, Todd.
Awesome.
Study materials. So I'm just going to put CPACC study exam sample exam questions. Also, if you just got the link for Discord, when you get a chance, please introduce yourself in the introductions page so that we all know who you are, why you're, what you're learning, and what you're doing. If you feel comfortable with that, we'd appreciate it. Robodom said, captchas. Kathy Code said, big problem. Yep, I read all this. Safe acts. Is the best accessible way of date pickers is using 3 separate form fields? Todd Libby said no. Oh, and then he gave us a nice little link, examples on how to do a date picker using ARIA. I'm sorry, not using ARIA. Through the W3. So that's probably a pretty good link. What I will do is I'm going to grab this link, copy it, and put it in resources. Okay? So if I find anything interesting, I'm just going to throw them in the resource channel. And anybody who wants to access it afterwards can do that. That is probably going to be the fastest way if that's okay with everyone. Does that sound like a good idea?
I like it.
All right, cool. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to read some of the barriers that the CPAC's body of knowledge put, because these are probably the ones that they want us to think about because they're the ones given the little thingy. But thank you for sharing a few of those things with us. And you didn't even go in on all of them, but that was good for now.
Oh, yeah,
But
I could go off on barriers if you'd like, but let's hear what they
I
have
know.
to say.
Here's what they have to say. They're saying that materials like books, menus, navigation aids are not available in alt format digitally or in braille. So yeah, paper menus. Speakers not providing descriptions of visual elements. So basically like me on here, just talking to y'all and then not explaining what's visually on the page. I try not to do that, but sometimes I do kind of glance over like memes and stuff. So, I'm going to explain this one to you. Sorry, let's take a moment to talk about the meme on this page. Some of us joke that all we do as accessibility specialists is alt text, and I find memes to be particularly hard to do alt text for. But do you know who Kevin Hart is?
Uh, uh, yes.
Do you remember what he looks like?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so it's Kevin Hart, and he has his face all scrunched up, like ugh. And then the caption across it at the top, it says, "Why do blind people need to use the web?" Question mark. And every time I see this, like, why do blind people need to use the web? It's like, they do, bro, just like you do. So that's the meme that's on this one. For vision disability barriers. So yeah, alt text is a big thing that doesn't happen. People not explaining descriptions, like I said, websites and technology that have no structural, with structural elements that don't have alt text images and page layouts that can't be resized. So that's more for not blind, but for visual impairments. A lot of people are on your websites blowing it up 1,000%, right? And if you're hard coding your sizes and you're not allowing people to kind of manipulate based off of their settings, you're locking them out. They're going to bounce from your page. Video content without alt text or audio descriptions are not very helpful, right? Inconsistent, complicated, or unpredictable navigation. Because if you're using a screen reader, you're trying to map out how to navigate. And if it's all over the place, it just makes it a really hard experience. Text with insufficient color contrast, that's a really big one. Websites, web browsers, authoring tools that don't provide full keyboard support. Maybe numero uno is that one, right? Like if we can't use the keyboard, we can't get in at all without, we're locked out essentially, right? Todd Libby has given us another date picker article with examples. Cool. So for the sake of time, it looks like we're not going to get to the assistive technology part of this. So we're just going to skip to the assistive technology part for blind and just learn all about it all together. And it's good that we're spending a lot of time on this specific one because this specific population is one of the bigger considerations that we have for the disability community when it comes to web accessibility. All right, I'm going to drop this in. Oh my gosh, my cat. I'm sorry, y'all. She's like literally laying across my whole thing. All right. Boom. Okay, so we're going to jump over. Since we have Dorlin here, which is such a treat, and she can actually tell us about the assistive technology with good authority, we'll jump to that. Okay, so for those who are not aware, which I assume we all are if we're here, assistive technology is just technology of some sort. It can be hardware, it can be software, it can be high tech, it can be low tech. that helps individuals be more a little bit more independent with using technology. So it's some type of tool that's allowing someone with an impairment of some sort to access whatever they need to access. So this could be something as easy as a little pencil grip that makes it easier for the person to write, or to a stylus that helps someone tap on their iPad or tap on a screen or tap on a keyboard. It can be as high tech as an entire wheelchair system, sip and puff movement wheelchair, something that you like blow your mouth into and it moves, or eye gazing scanning for people who are like paralyzed from the neck down and they only have the use of their eyes. How do they use the computer? They use eye gaze technology or head movement technology. So these are all different types of assistive technology. And what kind of assistive technology do you use, Dorlin?
Well, so I mean, I use everything from low tech, like just little markings, little notches myself, and Braille, all the way up to screen readers. So I use JAWS, which is Job Application with Speech, which is like, for those who aren't familiar, unless everybody is, probably kind of the top of the line screen reader that's out there that's used
Mm.
with Windows devices. I also use NVDA a little bit, which is um, non visual desktop access, another Windows. It's open source, that's free, that's a screen reader. I use another screen reader. I use the voiceover that's built in on my iPhone so that everything's read to me on that. Um, so a lot of things get read to me. I also use Braille displays, which, so you have my camera, so can I put it up to that so people can see it if they haven't seen it?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
make
if
us
that'll
bigger.
actually be helpful. I don't know
Yeah,
how
it'll be
well, because you
helpful.
guys can also totally just Google Braille displays and see what they look like, but
But it's way more cooler when you show us.
it's true. It's true. This is so cool. All right, let's see. Can you see my guy here?
Yep.
All right, so this is a little 20 cell Braille display. So 20 cells, meaning it's got 20 possible cells that it can display along here. Right now it's reading uh, something book or book something. I'm not good at reading Braille backwards like this, but I can this it actually just connected to my phone via Bluetooth, so I can read whatever's on my phone with it, like text messages or emails, and send them via it as well. It actually acts kind of like a keyboard, so if things aren't accessible by the keyboard, I definitely can't use it with my Braille display. It'll also connect to my computer. It acts as a standalone device too that I can download different things onto. So I use this because I love it, but there's also people who we spoke earlier about how do deafblind people communicate and take in information and access things. A lot of folks are going to use a braille display because you're going to be able to get all your information tactily and interact with different things. So that's my braille display there.
And you have a nice little pocket one. Can you tell us how much these babies cost?
Oh, so very much. I think this one actually is provided to me by the Library of Congress, the National Library Service for the um, print disabled, and but I think it retails around $2,100
Mm.
um, for a little baby guy. And then I have a 40 cell Braille display, this nice big one that I use. I'm trying to become a Braille transcriber with. Um,
Ooh.
this one is about $3,500.
Oof.
So I was lucky to have a case with Rehabilitation Services Administration when I lost my sight since I'd been working before. So I guess there's part of your advantages of the medical model a little bit, where they're like, oh, we're going to fix you and
Give you
get
everything you
everything
need.
right. Yeah, exactly. So that worked out well. Um, but those are really cool. There's a woman out there named I might mispronounce her name, Haben Girma, Haben. Last name I think is Germa, she is deafblind. She wrote a book, uh, something about the first deafblind woman to conquer Harvard Law, and she
Having
actually
Germa.
used she you guys should follow her on Twitter and she's amazing.
Yeah.
I love her. But she uses a technology where she has like a keyboard so someone can type their message to her and it'll appear on her braille display and then she can I mean she actually i- is able to communicate, like speak with people, but if she weren't able to, then she could also type in that and they could read off of that. So dudes, where there's a will, there's a way, I think,
Yeah.
and
I
that's what AT's about.
can't even wrap my brain around that. I do follow her on Twitter. It's so interesting the things that she talks about. I remember one thing that struck me, and I something I think about often. She was talking about how she went to maybe it was the Louvre. It was some important and famous museum, and they let her touch things, right? They let her touch things. You're not supposed to touch anything. So people were coming up to her and like yelling at her and telling her like not to touch things, and she like she's just like, they're literally letting me. But I thought it was interesting because that's you never you never think about how people move in the world and what that may look like. And everything's tactile, if you're deafblind. So using that braille displays, that was really interesting to learn about. And also at work, we got them to get us some braille displays, hopefully. So that would be kind of cool to kind of play around with them. They're so expensive. So Todd Libby said assistive technologies are not cheap, which is kind of a barrier and inaccessible for some folks. Yep, Sinotech said it feels criminal pricing accessible technology at that price point. Yeah, yeah, very,
Mhm.
very.
Well, and now you can see part of the functional model that we looked at, how sometimes, like, is this something that your, like, everyday user is actually gonna be able to access? Um, or is it just something that someone's like, "Oh, I'll fix this problem with the prettiest technology I can come up with," and then, like, only 10 people are able to use it?
Right, right. All right, let's see what CPAC wants us to know about assistive technology.
Yeah, right.
All right. Assistive technology is a product used by people with disabilities that helps them accomplish tasks with greater independence. When used with tech or computers, it can be referred to as adaptive tech or adaptive software. Some rely on the output of other agents like graphical desktop browsers, text browsers, voice browsers, multimedia players, plugins. As far as adaptive strategies, it helps people with disabilities perform activities of daily living to increase their independence. And they provide enhancements or change the methods. Oop, you know what? I don't even know. This is probably something I accidentally added in here. LOL, JK, y'all.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about specifically assistive tech and adaptive strategies. Oh, sorry, y'all. I need to share my laptop screen. Here we are. We're back. All right, bye, Cinotech. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Oh, maybe it wasn't Cinotech. It was Todd who's leaving. Bye, Todd. Thanks for coming out. Todd will be joining us on a co-stream one of these weeks. I can't remember which one. Maybe for Aria or something like that. We'll see. All
Ooh.
right. So here's what the CPAC people want us to know about assistive technology. And thank you. I'm glad you're still here with me, Sino. Sino said, I'll pass the exam first. Awesome. Well, I'm right there with you. We'll see
Do
who
it.
passes first. All right. So they want us to know that the assistive tech that is used are screen readers and braille output. We just learned about that at nauseum. The other thing we're gonna do soon is everyone here. Hi guys, everyone here with me. I hope that you have downloaded your screen reader already because that is a prereq for this study group. If you don't know how to use a screen reader, you're gonna learn So please make sure it's ready to go when I'm like, yo, let's fire up our screen readers right now. All right,
Well,
Sino
if
said,
someone's on a Windows machine, they do have a built-in screen reader on that. They can
they
use
also have one on
Narrator,
Mac. Everyone has a
and they
built-in
also have
one.
one on Mac, so you don't have to download it. You just have to
You
learn how
don't.
to use it a little bit.
You just need to actively, before we do this, go in your computer and try to find it yourself and see and just play around with it. Like go on one website and just see if you can navigate. But we will do it together. Have no fear. All right. So they also want us to know that they use keyboards with large printed letters. That was one of my favorite things to buy for patients when I was doing OT. I would get these crazy keyboards and they would help so much. It was like the smallest thing that did the most impact for some reason and blew people's mind were these huge keyboards. Speech input, voice output, large displays, screen magnification, large print, color contrast adjusting software. Adaptations. So adaptations are a little bit different than assistive tech. These are just like physical things people use. And this would be like canes, service animals. Dorland has a service animal, Tank. He's awesome. I don't know where he is, but he's a cute little black dog. And he's just like the happiest dog ever. Tactile markers, braille signage, glasses with lens that improve colors. Where is Tank? Where does he hang out?
Tank
Is he literally
is
like right
right
there with
behind
you?
me. He's got his
Oh,
little
that's so
bed.
good.
Tank, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
Oh
Here's
my
Tank.
god. He gets so excited. He's like, yo. He's like, yeah, right
Yeah.
now. Are you trying to play?
That's
Hey,
exactly
Tank.
what he thinks. He's pretty sure it's the Tank show now.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get him riled up. I knew it was going to happen, but I'm like, everyone needs to meet him. All right.
That's true. I need a better camera so I can like detach it and show people him. Maybe in the future.
Okay, so we're almost at the top of the hour. I think visual disabilities, it might be a good place to stop. However, I'm going to do a check-in with y'all and see how many people are willing to go a little bit longer. I'm not sure how much longer I can go, just energy-wise. But the last thing I wanted to talk about, while we do have a little bit of extra time, while people kind of feel out what they're trying to do, one thing I wanted to talk about because I thought it was so cool is your planner. Can we talk about your Braille planner, please?
Oh my gosh, yes we can. It's not sitting next to me, so I can't
Oh
show it.
man,
But if you give me like 10 seconds, I can run and get it.
yes,
Yeah?
yes.
All right. One
So
second.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna go. Well, you can go, Dorland, but I'm not sure that I'm gonna go that much longer, y'all. I'm definitely gonna go for the next 10, 15 minutes with questions and talking about Dorland's planner because very cool, and then talking about what's gonna happen next week. I think 2 hours is probably gonna be a sweet spot for all of us. So we'll do probably like 2 hours of meat and maybe 30 minutes of checking in, talking about the Discord, talking about silent study, and things like that. So I'm going to say that for now. Yeah, 2 hours does sound reasonable. Thanks, Robo. Kathy Code said that they're getting a little sleepy since it's late there. Thank you for coming if it's late wherever you are. I know so many people are in different time zones all over the world, which is really, really awesome. The other thing that we have to do is Anki. Goodness gracious, I don't even know if I have the energy to go through it right now, but we really should, darn. Ugh, while I'm already here. So I think, my back hurts though. I don't know if I'm going to do it. But let's talk about Dorland's planner and then I will figure out if I'm going to keep going.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I wasn't prepared to show this, but I love showing
Oh,
off Braille.
sorry. Lastly, Sino, thank you so much. That's brilliant. We'll do Anki at the beginning of the stream for last stream so we can do space repetition. So instead of me doing it right now, for week 2, we're going to start back where we left off by just asking the questions and then moving straight into what we're doing. And we'll probably do a little bit of questions during, like we did this time, and then keep keep it up for the next one. Oh man, that's my homie right there. It's one of our community helpers and members. Thank you so much for your service. All right, let's get into something
What's up?
interesting, which is Dorlin and I for work. We have a lot of audits that we do, and they have varying numbers, and they sometimes we have 10, sometimes we have 20, sometimes we have 3. Right now we have a ton. And she was using, I think you were using something. Go ahead and tell them.
Well, I was just, trying to keep track of them in my head, and then they were getting longer, and I was trying to use like a Word document to track them. I tried using an Excel document for a little bit. It's just like I wasn't reopening those documents. And then Africa got a physical planner, which
Oh,
as someone who was sighted,
use
was
my
like,
planner.
I loved my planner back in the day. Like I lived by it for so long, and then I felt like while there all are digital avenues out there for me, I like really miss that tactile like representation of things and whatever. And so when she got a planner and started doing it, I was like, "Oh, I want to do that." And so she actually had a notebook she gave me. And so this is adaptive tech. So um
Literally.
I have it was just
Wait,
like a
show them the
regular
front
notebook.
first.
Oh, sorry. All right, all right. There's the front. And it's got a little pouch on that zips so I can keep little sticky notes in there. And I don't know if there's anything under that actually. But so then we open up and I'm going to show you the middle of it because it's just plain white pages.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then I have been able to snap a slate and stylus onto it, which is basically a blind person's like pen and paper. I have this little, I'll show everyone, mini slate. It's a business card slate. Just opens up and a stylus, and you're able to poke holes into it and you make the dots and then it produces on the paper. So we've I've been able to set up columns and I've been playing around with it differently. It's thin paper, so I'm using multiple sheets. But I've been able to make like a column of Africa's and a column of mine and play around with it the next week. And that way, when we're going through them in a meeting, and we have to report on them, I can have them under my fingers, feeling along. I don't have something talking to me while other people are talking to me too. I can just touch it. I'm pretty much in love with it. And I'm pretty excited I get to show everyone here
Yeah,
it.
so Dorlin is constantly multitasking with listening to Jaws in one ear and then having to kind of talk while someone's talking to her, especially during meetings when she's looking for information. So she'll have something buzzing in her ear and then, like it's very much multitasking. So with this, and it took us a while to figure out how to do this, and it was really fun just trying to problem solve how we could figure out how to visually have it where it's it was a whole system, and we're very very proud of it because now Dorlin has everything at the tip of her fingers, right? So Cinotech actually just said, wow, listening and comprehending two different things is a skill. Whenever you listen to Jaws and then you say what Jaws is saying as you're listening to it, I'm just like, how in the world? Because when I listen to Jaws, my brain shuts off. Like, you cannot talk to me. I just can't.
That's fair. It's, I mean, I've been having to this is like skills that I never knew I was gonna be gaining, as you listen to the screen
Mm-hmm.
readers and like it is definitely cool. And also, I think one thing that's pertinent for our study group right now is as I'm dotting these out, like when I'm making the braille, it's the same process for me as making a note card or whatever. And I'm getting that information to my brain and creating a connection in a different way.
Right.
So, like, it sticks better. And I think I'm looking forward to making some braille note cards for our CPAC exam now.
Yeah, yeah, the actual physical ones. And that'll probably be less
Hmm.
annoying. Safe acts, a good question that we talk about all the time, actually. And I am so proud. Safe acts, what's your speech rate on JAWS. Also, safe. I sent you an email. You should email me back. What's your speed on JAWS,
I
Dorlin?
just looked that
What's your
up
speed
and I
on
don't
JAWS? Safe?
remember what it was.
Out here asking these personal questions.
Right, let's see. There there is a way to quickly check that, I think, but I don't remember it.
I think mine is 116 because we recently looked at it. We were trying to figure it
That's
out.
right. Yours was 116. Mine
And
was
yours
just
is
ever so
higher.
slightly
Yours is
above yours.
120, I think.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
All right, we'll
And
see what safe
mine does
says.
vary throughout the day. If I'm going to be reading something where like if I'm reading news articles in the morning where I want to read them but I don't have to like memorize things like I do for the CPAC, I'll whip through that really fast. But if it's something where I'm going for more comprehension, I'll slow it down a little more.
Right.
Um, my screen reader on voiceover, I think, is at 100. I vary between like 95 and 100 on it.
Hmm. Sino asks, is the screen reader picking up Twitch chat? Does it handle the emojis? So I know Dorlin right now isn't on Twitch. So I don't even know. We would have to test that probably with the screen reader one of these days. I think I'm gonna take one of our weeks to specifically just turn the screen reader on and just like show y'all what it looks like. Maybe next time, but I'm not sure. What I'm realizing though is that we're not gonna get through this material as fast as I thought. So I am considering maybe having us do some of it ourselves so that we can stay on top of what we're doing. Because even though I'm going through a lot of it in detail, some of it can be maybe, but I don't want to do that because a lot of people are actually going to just be actually studying along with us, and leaving out information would be a disservice because I want us to be able to come back to this as well. Like if we need to, and for people who are not doing this live to get all of the information. So I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm so sorry y'all, we might be spending like 4 weeks on the CPAC, and that's probably how many weeks we needed to anyways, for such a big endeavor, especially for those of us who like are really trying to get this thing done. So we're gonna spend about 10 more minutes, and that'll get us, I think, to two-ish hours. But I got about 20 minutes in me to not go through the CPAC stuff. But right now, as a Sino asks, I should know this, but when are we taking an exam? Okay, I think most of us are trying to take it in November. So the next one is November, I believe. And most of us who are taking it, we're doing November. So it's, what is it, September, October? We got that amount of time to get us ready. It does cost money, y'all. So for those who don't know, it's about $550. I told myself that I would take it if I got a job to pay for it, and that's why I'm taking it now. It's a lot of money. That's not an accessible amount of money to pay for a certification, especially if you don't have it. So Safe said, in this economy, I feel that. That's why I was like, I guess I need to get a job before I get that. I got the DHS Trusted Tester because it was free. And yeah. So yeah, Nami Kuro said, I need to get a job to pay for things. Haha. Yeah, that's literally that's the answer. I don't know how else to put it because that's a lot of money. Let me see, make sure I saw everything. But what I was gonna say is, yes, 55 USD dollars. How much is that in Canadian dollars, Sino? Safe said, I guess you gotta spend bread to get bread. I heard you. I guess. But honestly, you can get a job without the CPAC. So get a job first. Get the DHS Trusted Tester, right? If you're here with us now and you don't have money for the CPAC and you're learning everything we're learning right now, you will be able to leverage this information to get a job, period. I didn't have any of these I didn't have the DHS trusted tester or the CPAC, right? And a lot of people I know don't have it and have jobs. However, what we did have was all the knowledge on those exams kind of in our brains so that during interviews we can say all the information right. So while you may not be able to afford to get the actual exam, you'll be ready for the exam once you get that job from learning all of the stuff we're learning today. And you'll be a very strong candidate, which is why I'm really excited about the study group, because while I know a lot of the CPAC information, it's still things that I haven't really memorized, and now I'm going to be super confident when I'm talking about it, right? Sinotech said 741 Canadian. That just sounds wild. Wow. Oh my goodness said, I may have to push the CPAC to next year because I'm doing 100 devs and the DHS trusted tester too. Do you know what? Oh my goodness, if you have the money and you're here with us for this month, you'll be able to do it. Yeah, you'll be able to take this test and not wait till next year if you want to. If you want to. I think so. Holda said DHS free, of course. Sino said, think I'm going to do it regardless because I'm trying to sell accessibility into my services and this could give me the credibility I need. Absolutely. What I've noticed is DHS, CPAC, always been asked for on all of these jobs that I'm looking at, and it's something that people can easily Google and see that, okay, this person has this credential that's, from what I see, the one that everyone's very familiar with. So I think it's worth it if you want to finesse it in a way, and the information is absolutely worth it. Not necessarily paying $550. That's debatable, I guess. Let's see. Happy said, I got the trusted tester and no job. I need to move to the DMV area. I'm willing to pay if it will get my job prospects up. Let me just tell y'all, actually, our job is hiring right now, actively. And if you're in the Discord, I already talked about it, so I'm not going to talk about it very publicly here, but if you're in the Discord, go to Discord and let's chat. DMV area, that's where me and Dorlin are. There's a large amount of jobs that I get just recruiters for this area, and a lot of them are hybrid or want you to come in 1 day a week. I actually just got one that I need to send y'all that asked me for 1 day a week. So, but I like where I am, so I'm just gonna send them y'all way. RoboDom said, is having a CPAC cert helpful in getting a position as a web dev who specializes in accessibility design? Yes. It's helpful. Okay, let me be clear. It is more helpful to have experience and understanding of the principles of web accessibility engineering and core competencies of accessibility than any certification, right? The DHS trusted tester is the easiest way to show that you have a credential, which is why we talk about it so much, because it's free. However, you don't even need that. You need to be able to sell that you know how to fix things and know what you're talking about, because that's what people care about at the end of the day. The certification will maybe get you in the door a little bit quicker if someone's using a scanning system or only looking for somebody with that, right? But at the end of the day, they're going to pick the person who came in and said, I know all this, I know how to fix all your stuff, versus the person who has a CPAC and the DHS who's a newbie, who is looking green and maybe memorized some stuff but didn't really have the passion for it and can't actually build anything and do anything. So I hope that's helpful. Holda said, also, if you're working as a contractor in the States, save your receipts when meeting with clients, like buying coffee, because you can report them as expenses when doing taxes. I think you guys were talking about some other stuff up here that I may have missed, but it's all good. All right, Kathy said, agreed. Yeah. So really, certifications are nice, right? But knowing the information is way more important at the end of the day, according to my research. Would you say so, Dorlin?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel I'm kind of in a unique situation because for me, being blind was actually, a positive in this job for reals, and
Yeah,
like I think I got lucky where a lot of folks here who aren't blind, I'm like, oh, you guys are the poor folks this time. But I think for me, I didn't have any of those certifications, but I had the knowledge,
right.
and that got me the job. And so now, I'm trying to take the DHS trusted tester and um probably going to get this one, hopefully get the CPAC first. Well, hopefully get them both, but you know, I think that knowledge, like you said, is really, if you can show that you have that knowledge and you can do the job, that's more important than a piece of paper.
Yeah, Bisono. Absolutely. So, like I said, I didn't have any certifications either, but every answer that was asked, I answered with full fledged confidence if I could. You know what I mean? That is what matters at the end of the day because I was actively studying the DHS and everything that comes with it. So really certifications at the end of the day they really don't matter, y'all. But now that we
Yeah.
got the we got our foots in the door or whatever, and we know that we know it, then getting the certifications make a little bit more sense. I mean, it makes sense in general, but I feel like it's more like, well, what do we have to lose by getting more certs other than money, right? Um, let's see. Robo said, thanks for the response. It's very reassuring that getting a job in this area is more dependent on my willingness to learn. Yes, I think if you're here in this study group, first of all, it's very nerdy of you. Congrats. You know what I mean? If you're here in this study group, that tells me enough, right? That tells me I'm committed to learning, and I really want to learn and spend my free time doing so. So, being here is enough to learn everything that you would need to learn to get a job. And I mean that wholeheartedly, but you have to do a lot of the work yourself at the end of the day, right? You have to do the studying, you got to get through all the material, and then you got to use your Anki and actually be able to talk about it. And that's what we'll be doing together. Um, Holda said, I met someone who collected too many certifications. That's what you guys were talking about. I'm just reading this so Dorland's able to follow along and whoever else. I met someone who collected too many certifications but didn't have wholesome knowledge required to do the job. That happens a lot. You ask yourself, how can you get a certification and not know how to do the job? Because the certification doesn't teach you how to do the job. You have to do the job for real. The DHS trusted tester is a good example of something that will teach you how to do a job, right? But the DHS trusted tester is only as good as like the other things you do on top of it, I think. Like you have to genuinely do an audit or test a web page outside of the ones that it makes you test. You have to create a report of some sort, right? It doesn't really teach you how to do that. You need to use a screen reader in assistive technology. It doesn't teach you how to do that. So I think spaces like this are helpful and important because I'm telling y'all, right? I'm telling you firsthand what you need to know that will make you more competitive if you're really looking for a job. And for those not looking for a job, if you really want to have a little bit more authority and knowledge on what you do, which is why we're here. Okay, so I mean, a lot of people are about to leave. The last thing that I want to do before we get off of here is talk very, very briefly for the last 5 minutes about silent study. So hopefully there's still a few people here because I am trying to figure out what to do about posting about silent study. So I just wanted to make sure really fast, if you're in here and you are interested in silent study, just holler real fast. And then randomly, if you know it, holler out a time that makes sense for you to do it. But otherwise, we are pretty much finished with week 1. We learned a bunch. Mostly we learned about assistive technology for blind folks. We learned about some of the barriers that they face. We learned about all the disability models, and why some of them are great and why some of them suck. What else did we learn, Dorlin? Did I miss anything?
I think you got it. It was mostly the disability models, and then we got into our disabilities and got hung up on blindness because it's the best one. And
Definitely the most interesting. Why am I not going to say the most interesting one? Because I think the
oh, it's not there.
neurodiversity one is pretty
Sorry.
interesting. ADHD, when we get to that one, I'm going to be really excited to talk about it.
They're all very interesting. It's just
Yes,
great
we don't
learning,
discriminate.
right? It's cool. But we definitely got a little distracted with my personal experience. And
No, and it was important. We got to see actual assistive technology in the wild. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about it. All right, so everyone, we will see y'all next week. I don't know, either Sino or maybe Dorlin, if she wants to come on again, will be here with us, or maybe all three of us, because I think I can have as much as 4 people on here. So if you ever want to do a stream with me and hang out like me and Dorlin are, you are more than welcome. You don't even have to talk if you don't want to. You could just be on the screen with me and keep me company, so I'm not up here by myself. RoboDom said, thank you to your guest speaker as well. Kathy said, personal experience is something we can't learn from the body of knowledge, so it wasn't insightful. Thank you. Robo said, appreciate your time. Holda's excited to see the whole recording. So yes, thank you so much for your time, especially right after work like we just did. Really appreciate it. All right, y'all. I'll see you next week. Probably more like 4 p.m. instead of 3:30, because that's kind of wild. That turnaround time, that 30-minute turnaround time for work is probably not going to work out. But as always, Discord, I will let you know. Oh my goodness said, Dorlin, wonderful session. Thank you so much. From Plants and Pajamas, you've created a wonderful and inclusive community. Aw, Fauna said, thank you, Dorlin in Africa. Holda said, thank you both. Great meeting you, Dorlin. All right. So if you got any questions, you want to connect, comment, whatever, I'm going to head over to Discord, and we can talk more there. Dorlin's in there too. So say hi.
yeah, I'm going to go figure it out too.
Yeah, we got to figure Discord out. But Dorlin, any last words?
No, thanks for having me. Great study group, guys.
Yeah, that was actually kind of fun. I can't believe we're having fun studying on our own time. I feel like such a nerd, but I'm here for it. Thank
Nerd
y'all
up.
for hanging out. Accessibility crew in the building. We signing out. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Oh, and then also, since she's here, Raichu says bye. I'm holding Raichu up. She just is a rag doll and lets me do whatever she wants, whatever I want to her. So she has her arms all the way up and she looks funny and she's purring, which is hilarious. But bye,
That is too
y'all.
much. Bye.